Good morning, sirs. Are you guys law enforcement? I just noticed what law enforcement are you guys with? What law enforcement are you guys with? Are you guys ICE? Are you guys Immigrations and Customs Enforcement? Well, you actually legally have to identify yourself if you are ICE. You legally have to identify yourself if you are ICE. You legally have to identify yourself if you are ICE. What is your name and badge number? You legally have to identify yourself if you're ICE. You legally have to identify yourself if you're ICE. You legally have to identify yourself if you're ICE. Good morning, officer. How are you? You legally have to identify yourself if you're ICE. Good morning, officer. I just asked these officers to identify themselves if they're Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, and they're saying nothing, which they legally have to identify their name and badge number if they're Immigrations and Customs Enforcement.
This woman stumbled upon what she believes to be federal law enforcement officers in the wild. I would argue it is quite a tell that so many of them turned away almost immediately from the camera and went to their cars once they saw she was rolling and asking questions, which is well within her right, by the way. This is the secret police force that is doing the following to our communities, our neighbors, and our loved ones in this country.
Data to dive into today. It's newly released data showing that nearly 75,000 immigrants with no criminal record were detained by ICE since the beginning of the Trump administration's crackdown earlier this year. A research group tied to UC Berkeley's law school says that under President Trump, under this ongoing operation, immigration arrests have surged to roughly 220,000 in just 9 months.
Well, Kate, this data really backs up what we have been hearing anecdotally from attorneys as well as advocates who have worked with a lot of those immigrants who have been detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement and by U.S. Border Patrol over the last several months. And in many of these cases, there had not been criminal records. Yes, these were people who were in the United States illegally, but they did not fall into the categories that the administration has repeatedly talked about national security and public safety threats just based on their records. So this data again shows that of the 220,000 arrests that have happened in these last 9 months, nearly 75,000 people had no criminal records. This is according to the Data Deportation Project.
They're going after people who are hardworking, who care about the country, and are imprisoning them for Geo Group and Core Civic. If unaware,
shares of Geo Group and Core Civic rose more than 50% since the election.
I've worked at Core Civic for 32 years, and this is truly one of the most exciting periods in my career with the company.
Meet Core Civic and Geo Group, the two publicly traded companies that have come to dominate the private prison industry.
Private prison companies, mainly Geo Group and Core Civic, are champing at the bit at their prospects for big profits in 2025.
Core Civic CEO Damon Hinninger is estimated to be worth over $20 million. In 2023, he got paid over 96 times the average Core Civic employee.
Geo Group and Core Civic collectively donated at least $1.5 million to Donald Trump's re-election campaign, an inaugural committee, with lots of individual donations by both companies' top brass. In 2025, the federal government has $2.9 billion in contracts with Geo Group and its subsidiaries. That's double the amount in 2024. Core Civic has $3.6 billion in obligations, astronomically higher than any previous year. And President Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi lobbied for Geo Group. With so many conflicts of interest and so much money involved, standing up to these corporations is incredibly daunting.
these are the ghouls profiting off of the administration's abductions, which leads us to this.
I think it's time to start calling Trump's immigration agenda what it is: ethnic cleansing. I don't use that term lightly because it describes the systematic effort to remove certain ethnic groups from the country with the explicit goal of making the population more racially homogenous, in this case, as white as possible. But it's clearly not a label the Trump administration is afraid of, because lately they've been publicly embracing the term remigration or reverse migration, which is, by definition, a form of ethnic cleansing using mass deportation. Before Trump was even elected, Stephen Miller, who fits any definition of fascist, was throwing the term around on social media, but now it's being used by official government agencies. They proposed a new office at the State Department called the Office of Remigration, and Trump himself has used the term in the last couple of weeks. But if their embrace of the language wasn't enough, their actions in just the last couple of weeks make it unmistakable. Last week, Trump referred to Somalis, an entire ethnic group, as garbage and said, quote, "I don't want them in our country," all while his administration launches a targeted enforcement operation in Minnesota focused entirely on Somali immigrants, 83% of whom are naturalized U.S. citizens. Trump has canceled protections for millions of immigrants from predominantly brown countries who are here legally, making them undocumented and forcing them into the shadows with the stroke of a pen. Meanwhile, he's granted refugee status to one group of immigrants, white South Africans called Afrikaners. He's also vowed to denaturalize U.S. citizens who, quote, "undermine domestic tranquility," and deport people who his administration deem are, quote, "non-compatible with Western civilization." Translation, people who aren't white.
Good breakdown here from Sawyer Hackett on TikTok. Throw him a follow if you can.
Watch this masked ICE agent walk up to a home and tell me if you think this is legal. This isn't the first time that agents like this have done this, though. Watch this. This agent takes a umbrella and knocks a camera away as well. Without a warrant, this is not legal. The camera's part of the property, and covering it's likely a Fourth Amendment violation. So why are they hiding the truth?
Meanwhile, in the streets, ICE agents are moving security cameras as they approach houses.
Get out, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm a U.S. citizen. I don't care, you're a U.S. citizen.
That was a video of Christian Jimenez, a 17-year-old high school student who was detained by ICE during his lunch break last Friday. When he told the officers he was a United States citizen, they broke the window and detained him anyways, saying, "I don't care, you're a citizen." The Trump administration has unleashed masked ICE agents into our communities. They are violently abducting our friends and our neighbors, young people who have committed no crime. We saw it in Massachusetts when Marcelo Gomes da Silva was detained on his way to volleyball practice in Milford. And we saw it again last week when a Babson college student named Amy was surrounded, handcuffed, and deported on her way home to visit her parents in Texas. We are no longer just on the path to authoritarianism. We are living in that world, and we must continue to resist it each and every day. End the ICE abductions, end Trump's campaign of fear, end fascism now.
And while some Dems have spoken out,
no, it did not.
Yeah! Hit it run! Hit it run! Yeah. Hey, watch out with that weapon! That weapon! Yo, watch out! What's wrong with you? No hurt! No hurt! She's a female!
I just don't believe they are taking people out of cars like that.
You just saw it.
I know, but they've got to have a reason to do that.
She's a U.S. citizen on her way to work. They crash into her. Now, because everybody in that car, you see them, they crash into her, then they start driving away. Everybody in that car is like, we just crashed into somebody. We got to make it their fault. Detain her. So they jump out and they say, you crashed into us, we're detaining you now. These ICE officers are out of control. No one is checking them. They are doing whatever they want. And I have some more videos to show you that are, I think, going to be very illuminating. But you just said to me,
I just don't believe that they're crashing into people and just ripping them out of cars to see if they're illegal or not. I really do not believe that.
You literally saw it happen. How can you not believe it? That you just watched a video of exactly that happening.
Then is it mistaken identity? They think that is a criminal in there?
this is a polarizing example of how so many in Magaland cannot be reached on this very subject. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYTSports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to TYT.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you can follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.